My transformation into Pavel Spikowski is now complete. Can you set up a whole Betaflight flight controller without ever touching a laptop? That's the question that we're asking today, and it's a way more common question than you might think. It's not just that, like, you don't want to carry a laptop with you while you go somewhere to fly because it's, like, big and heavy. Some people just don't have laptops. And until now, I would have said that basically, yes, you can, but it's kind of a pain in the butt and maybe not worth the trouble, but okay if you really have to. But today, setting up your whole quadcopter without ever touching a laptop has gotten a whole lot easier because of this. This is the Speedybee V2 from Runcam, and we're going to take a look at how this makes it easier than ever before to do everything you need to do to set up a Betaflight flight controller, including flashing firmware, without ever touching a laptop. From any phone, even iPhones. I'm Joshua Bardwell, and you're going to learn something today. In case you didn't already know, the Speedybee adapter plugs into your flight controller and lets you use the Speedybee app on your smartphone to configure your flight controller wirelessly via Bluetooth. The Speedybee app also has the ability to plug in via USB if you're on an Android phone. Unfortunately, Apple locks out the USB functionality, and you can't do this on an Apple or an iOS device. The disadvantage of the existing way of doing it is, number one, that Bluetooth is just not the most reliable wireless link. And number two, if you want to use a USB cable, you have to use a thing called a USB OTG adapter, just an adapter that plugs into your phone, and that's something that you might not have with you. The Speedybee V2 uses Wi-Fi to connect to the phone, and that means that it's going to have much greater range and much more reliable link than the Bluetooth adapter. But it has a few other features that are worth mentioning. Let's take a look at how it works, and we'll go through those features. To use the Speedybee V2, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to plug a battery into the Speedybee adapter. It can take from 2S up to 6S, and it has a plug for both a PH 2.0 Tiny Whoop adapter and an XT60. No XT30 at this time. When you do that, the red light will turn on, and that indicates that it's powered up. When you plug into the flight controller, the red light will begin blinking, and that indicates that it's talking to the flight controller. From there, you're going to go to the Speedybee app on your smartphone, and you're going to tap the Wi-Fi icon for the Speedybee V2. The older method of Bluetooth and USB still works. And then when we connect, we're going to need to connect to the Wi-Fi network that's being broadcast by the Speedybee V2 adapter. You're going to need to manually select that Wi-Fi network and connect to it on your phone. Once you do that, the LED on the Speedybee adapter is going to turn solid green, and that will indicate that the adapter is linked up to your phone, and you can now use the app to completely configure Betaflight. And as we go through these tabs here in the Speedybee app, I want you to see that every function of the Betaflight configurator is right here in the Speedybee app. You could do literally like for a while, the Speedybee app was a little bit behind the Betaflight configurator. Like for a while, it didn't have the filter sliders, for example, but very quickly Runcam updates it, and then it just has all of the functionality that you would need to configure your quadcopter. But there's more to it than just Betaflight configurator, because the Speedybee app now has a firmware flasher as well. And this is one of the stumbling blocks that people have run into when they're trying to configure a quadcopter using only their phone. You can use the Speedybee app to update the configuration, but it's not easy to use it to flash. There is a third-party firmware flasher app, but Speedybee brings it all into one place. So you can flash the firmware, you can configure it, and on top of that, the Speedybee app also has the ability to configure BLHeli ESCs. Well, BLHeli S ESCs only. There is, however, an Android app for BLHeli 32 as well, although it wouldn't work wirelessly over this link. So you won't be able to do your ESC configuration using the Speedybee adapter and app unless you have BLHeli S ESCs. So that is the new Speedybee V2 adapter and corresponding Speedybee app from Runcam/Speedybee, which I would argue gives you everything you need to do in order to configure a quadcopter completely from scratch. Flash the flight controller, configure the flight controller, and as long as they're BLHeli S, update the ESCs. You can do it all from your phone, and you can do it all wirelessly over Wi-Fi. That's pretty freaking cool. If you want to pick up the Speedybee V2 adapter, you can pick it up from the link in the video description. Thanks to Runcam for sending this my way and letting me try it out. It's a really cool thing. That's going to do it for this video. Happy flying, everybody. What are you doing in here? The least you could do is subscribe or join my Patreon or, like, just here's another video I picked out for you. Jeez.